Hello, everyone. Welcome to Duret's Take. Happy Thursday. Let's get started. There's a couple of breaking news, if you will. Some of it's actually breaking, some of it's not really not, but it's technically this type of thing. So let's get started. So some people are freaking out that there's been reports that like Tom Brady's like been working out with the team and stuff, despite the recent spikes in the coronavirus in Florida. But for me, I don't really count this as breaking news or newsworthy much to begin with. It's like, as a quarterback, especially for a quarterback for new teams, like you got to get to know your players, you got to get familiar with them, you got to practice basically. You're not because you don't have a normal off season or a preseason, if you will. So you got to get all those practice reps in if you can. Now, if there was more than 10 people on the team that had the coronavirus or something along those lines, or facilities are shut down, then that's one thing. Or if Tom Brady gets coronavirus, that's all. That's all understandable. That's all one thing. But if that stuff's not happening, then I don't care about this. Tom Brady can continue to work out and get the help that he needs, and that goes for all the other quarterbacks as well. As long as facilities not shut down, as long as you're doing the best they can to adhere to the rules and guidelines and stuff like that, they're just fine to practice. So some more breaking news is that Vince Carter today is now officially retired, even though we all knew that was coming. But he had a wonderful career. I'm happy for him. I hope he enjoys retirement. I can kind of see him being an NBA analyst. We'll see if he actually pursues that or not. But again, I hope he enjoys retirement. He had a great career. So some more breaking news. So the Steelers and versus Cowboys Hall of Fame game that's kicks off the preseason every year. It's the beginning of August. So that game's going to be canceled. And honestly, I don't mind that it's canceled at all. Because first of all, you can combine the 2020 Hall of Fame class with the 2021 Hall of Fame class next year. Like, yeah, it's nice to have it per year, but it's just like the classes can be combined. It doesn't matter. They're in the Hall of Fame. It's like get their yellow jackets. Like it's all good. Like it's like there's no reason why that should be a big issue. And then also, it's like not a lot of people attend preseason games anyway, so it's not like you're losing out on too much money per se. And then third of all, what's interesting is that like fans don't really care about the preseason. Now, for the teams and coaches and staff and stuff like that, the preseason games are important because you guys see who to keep and not. So I hope they can both get their one preseason game in, because if that was going to be the one that got canceled, they need to like schedule another one. But it's just like, as far as like fan wise, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't care about it. And then also, it's like we're going to see the Steelers versus the Cowboys during the regular season, stuff with the starters and hopefully everyone healthy and stuff. So that's going to be a good matchup. So we can at least look forward to that. So some news came out recently about Major League Baseball. So they're going to have that 60-game schedule format for this season. I know baseball fans would be thrilled. And you remember from me, I'm not a baseball fan, but I feel like this is very interesting. Mainly because 60 games is not a lot to determine the best 5 teams in each conference, in my opinion. I feel like you're going to get some teams that with a full season want to be in there, but with the short season are going to get lucky and be in there. Like, for example, like a 60-game like season of baseball is like a 5-game NFL season or a 25-game NBA season. Like, it's just not enough time to determine the best teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like, for example, like the Texas Rangers of last year, like by the halfway point, they were a wild card team, pretty good. But then by the end of the year, they were one of the worst teams within their own division. So teams like that, like for example, there may be a team like let's say the Oakland Athletics or something like. Let's say they are a good team, but they just had that bad stars, and then by the time the season ends, they like barely missed out or something like that. Like it's going to have an effect on a team, and again, it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I mean, it's not going to make me watch baseball, don't get me wrong, but it's going to make me at least be curious and kind of follow on and off and on to see what's going to be going on there. So also, so let's go on with this. Nikola Jokic, so the Joker, got the coronavirus. He's in Serbia right now. Now, I would say this is a big deal per se, but like Denver expects him to be back and be ready to practice with the team before the season starts, so it's all good. He just has to arrive a little bit later than planned. For me, there's only 2 reasons why this can become interesting. One, is if other international players are like let's say Luka is out right now or Kristaps Porzingis is out right now, in their respective countries. Like let's say they get the coronavirus and bring it to the U.S. or something like that, because that could happen easily. Then that kind of is a cause for concern. And then not only that, but also um, if the form, if the like if the foreign players are not going to risk what I just said, so they're just going to stay in their they're just going to stay in their country instead and not come to the U.S. to play. That could be another thing. Now, I don't imagine a big star like Luka Doncic to do that per se, but some other foreign players, like they may feel like it's not worth the risk to come back to the country. So that can be a big issue for some foreign players not coming to return to play their teams, because we're already having some issues of people not coming to return to play their teams. So that'll be kind of interesting to monitor and watch. And also, another star recently, Malcolm Brogdon, he just said he got the coronavirus recently, and then Jabari Parker also said he got the coronavirus recently, but he's not as big of a star. But what'll be interesting is, I mean, I don't want any of the stars to get the coronavirus, but if you're going to get it, the time to get it is now, because if they were to get it during the season, all hope is lost, and that affects their season heavily. But if they get it right now and get over it, then they can focus on, okay, yes, I already got it, so therefore I should be good to play and contribute my best and be 100% for the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what keeps on happening over the next month or so. So some news came out, like I said earlier, about Avery Bradley. He's not going to be playing because of his 6-year-old son who has health problems, wants to stay with family and stuff like that, which is totally understandable. So now the Lakers have to look for a replacement. And in my mind, Avery Bradley was a very good role piece for the Lakers. Like I feel like it's going to be very hard to replace him, and it might even change my pick on if the Lakers win the whole thing or not. And we'll see how things develop. But for example, the Lakers are looking at both J.R. Smith and Nick Young, but more J.R. Smith is the likely candidate to replace Avery Bradley. And back when I was doing my top free agent list a couple weeks ago, I said J.R. Smith was like a top 3 option. J.R. Smith would be best fit with the Lakers so that he can reunite with LeBron James. But it's not gonna be just exactly like simpatico, if you will. Like, first of all, he's gonna have to learn. Wherever team he goes to, he's gonna have to learn the playbook, which takes time. So I wouldn't expect him to contribute a lot right off the bat per se. Second of all, like while he's a good 3-point shooter, and he's had a lot of postseason success, except for his debacle. He's an okay defender, but he's not as good of a defender as Avery Bradley was. And defense is what you really need. Besides 3-point shooting, defense is what you really need for a championship level team. Because like you got to go guard. If you're like lazy, you got to go guard Kawhi. Oh wait, you got to guard Paul George. Oh wait, now someone has to guard Lou Williams. It's like you got to guard so many good players on a team. It's like you need all the best defensive players you can get. So Avery Bradley not playing, like I said, is going to really hurt. Now, some people are going to say that this is actually a good enough replacement, or that J.R. Smith potentially will even work out better than Avery Bradley will. And in my mind, if you're talking about, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, you're right. But right now, I would say probably not. Mainly because J.R. Smith has been out for a year and hasn't been playing. He's not in basketball shape. Now, I mean, some of these players who are going to come back to start playing may not be somewhat in basketball shape per se because they've been out for 4 months. But being out for 4 months versus over a year versus a basketball shape is a big difference. So again, learning the playbook, being out of shape and stuff, he's really not going to contribute. He's not going to contribute much during regular season, in my opinion. And then for the playoffs, he's really not going to be able to try to contribute until they get to that hopefully Western Conference Finals where they face the Clippers or something like that. Like I just don't see it. So J.R. Smith, I feel like he'll come in, he'll make 2, 3 points a game, maybe 3 and stuff, and do his thing. But again, I feel like Avery Bradley, it was not a huge loss, but I feel like it's significant enough to where, okay, I can notice that's kind of a loss type of thing. Okay, and lastly but not least, I want to talk about the New York Knicks. So the Knicks have a few head coaching options at the top of the list. Right now, it looks like Jason Kidd is at the top of the list right now. And if I'm the Knicks, I would want to go get Jason Kidd. I feel like he's a very good coach. They should definitely go get him. But here are two things though. No matter who the Knicks get as their next head coach, they're gonna suck or not be that good. And two reasons why: one, they don't have talent. Well, they have talent, I should say, but they don't have star talent. And they're not going to get any through free agency because James Dolan. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to go do the Philly approach. So just hopefully strike gold in the draft over the next few years, and then bam, you can get a couple key role players, and then you can see what you can do. And then also, even if you do have a good coach, some good players. I mean, James Dolan's just a really bad owner, so therefore you're not going to get star free agents, and also the team's just not going to be that good in general. Like for example, let's say the best case scenario I can envision for the Knicks right now in the I would say 3 to 4 year near future is they squeak into the playoffs as the 8th seed or something like that, and then get bounced out in the first round, get swept, maybe win a game or so. That's their best case scenario, because as it stands right now, over the next 5 to 10 years, they're not going to be better than Milwaukee, assuming Giannis stays there. They're not going to be better than Brooklyn. They're not going to be better than Philly. They're not going to be better than Boston. They're not going to be better than Toronto. And they're most likely not going to be better than Indiana. So there's 6 teams right there just listed that they're not going to be better than for a while. Because in my opinion, they're not going to get those star players is the problem. So it's just like the Knicks can suffer. Like, yeah, if they went to the playoffs, they seem to go past. So like that would be a miracle based off the torture that Knicks fans had to go through for the past 5 years or so. But I mean, that again, that's for Knicks fans. That's the best you can expect. Because with James Dolan as the owner, I just don't feel like they're gonna go anywhere in my opinion. So go ahead and hire Jason Kidd and go ahead and try to strike gold in the draft. But just remember that I warned you, Knicks fans, that you're just doomed for either bad seasons or mediocre seasons for a long time until James Dolan sells the team. Which, if I'm Knicks fans, like I'd be petitioning for that. But luckily I'm not. And my team, the Mavs, are set up for the future, so I'm happy about that. All right, well, that's it for today's show. Thank you very much for listening, and please subscribe to my channel and let everyone know about me. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.